House Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, the most powerful Democrat in Washington, is here. I'll see you in a moment. I will tell folks that we are coming fresh off Leader Jeffries' historic, literally breaking historical records, 8-hour, 44-minute House floor speech. This is one way to understand, if nothing else, the sheer amount of time and stamina that was used. As Leader Jeffries said, he would use every tool in his legal power as the top Democrat in Washington to both protest, oppose, and try to thwart aspects of that budget. And I wanted to ask you about this. You know, we try to call it straight here and follow the facts and the evidence on all these issues here on this program. And it seems like on this one, Democrats have lost a lot of public skirmishes. It seems like Democrats won the messaging battle, but still didn't have the votes. So I want to get your response to that. But I'll put up on the screen the numbers here, just top line. You have a lot more debt, kicking off over 11 million people from their current health coverage, going after popular programs like Medicaid. And overwhelmingly, as you know, as people learned about this bill, the more they learned, the more they didn't like it. It's overwhelmingly opposed. Before I get your answer, I just want to show, again, let's get out of the coastal national news. Let's get out of the television news of coming out of these, you know, folks who might follow politics every day. We checked the polling. This was going underwater 18 points. And local coverage has actually echoed some of the facts Democrats have mentioned against the bill. Take a look.
It's going to be a big, beautiful challenge for hospitals.
Rural hospitals could face the loss of medical care and services. Millions of Americans who have Medicaid face losing their health care coverage.
They're anticipating about 500,000 people will have their Medicaid benefits cut from the big ugly bill.
There is no spinning this as if there's a positive thing.
Did you get your message out effectively? And if so, what do you say to people who are frustrated that the bill still passed?
Well, the one big ugly bill represents the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. Hospitals will close, nursing homes will shut down, community-based health clinics will be unable to operate, and people are going to die in community after community after community, including in rural America. I think it certainly has been the case that we have successfully communicated across the country the implications of this one big ugly bill. It hurts everyday Americans in order to reward billionaires. And we're going to continue that effort in state after state after state, in congressional district after congressional district after congressional district. The American people should understandably be frustrated that they clearly have rejected this bill, did not want it to be passed, but Republicans in the House of Representatives have decided to once again be nothing more than a rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda. All we needed were 2 additional Republicans to join us, and we could have stopped this bill. That's out of 220.
And what does it mean that Republicans said out loud they opposed the bill or big parts of it and still voted for it?
I spent a lot of time on the House floor going through a lot of the letters that had been written by my Republican colleagues complaining about the Medicaid cuts, complaining about the cuts to the clean energy tax credits, complaining about the cuts to nutritional assistance and the fact that this bill rips food out of the mouths of children. And then they turned around and bent the knee to Donald Trump, because that's what they do. They don't work for the American people at this particular point in time. They work for Donald Trump. They act like a wholly owned subsidiary of the Trump administration. It's an embarrassment. And now that embarrassment will actually result in the American people being hurt in devastating ways.
We also track culture, as you know. Sometimes the punchlines give you a sense of where the story is. Here was Jon Stewart.
Holy you what? You somehow managed to severely cut the safety net and expand the deficit. That's impressive. That's one of those, hey man, how did you gain all that weight? Ozempic. That's something that's hard
to do. Does this tag the GOP as the fiscally irresponsible party? And where do we go from here? I mean, you're a pretty young guy by the standards of Washington. Are we going to hear from them and they're out of power again in however many years that a Democratic White House is growing the deficit? Does that even make sense given their record right now?
Republicans are complete phonies when it comes to be claiming to be the party of fiscal responsibility. All they have done, administration after administration after administration, they did this during the administration of George W. Bush, they did it during Ronald Reagan's administration, and now, of course, they're doing it again during Donald Trump's second administration, is explode the debt and the deficit. Why? In order to provide massive tax cuts for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected, and subsidize the lifestyles of the rich and shameless. Now you've got a bill where they actually have combined hurting everyday Americans, largest cut to Medicaid in American history, largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history, hurting veterans, hurting seniors, hurting children, and at the same time exploding the debt and the deficit. We are going to tattoo this disgusting abomination of a bill to the foreheads of every single Republican who voted for it.
Hardball tattoo politics there. All right. I want to ask you about the ongoing abuses of power alleged by Donald Trump. We've seen National Guard there in the streets. Democrats have sued over that. We have Marines used in a small basis, but seems like a test case. We have then related in the courts, although it might not get as much dramatic attention, certainly not the visuals like you see here, but this report about Trump claiming sweeping powers to literally nullify laws just passed by Congress, supported by Republicans, by the way. Legal experts telling the Times that Trump is claiming this power to immunize private parties to commit otherwise illegal acts and blatantly defying the recent TikTok rule. Whether people agree with it or not, and I think you well know there was some controversy about that TikTok ban. Since when does a president just say, well, we'll enforce it later or maybe not at all? And what specifically does your party do about that?
Well, Donald Trump has launched an all-out assault on the American way of life, on the rule of law, and democracy itself. And this is going to require, of course, a Congress that actually functions as a separate and co-equal branch of government. We will not get that from the modern-day Republican Party, although we are still looking for some folks, just a handful, to show Liz Cheney or John McCain levels of courage to push back against the extremism that is coming from the Trump administration. We haven't seen it so far, and that's shameful, but we'll continue to press them to try to achieve it on behalf of the American people. You know, the courts will need to function as a backstop, and unfortunately, we've seen increasingly an unwillingness by this Supreme Court to actually push back against Donald Trump and some of his executive overreach. At the end of the day, it was said during the founding of the Republic that when the people fear the government, there is tyranny, but when the government fears the people, there is liberty.
Yeah,
and
bars, yeah.
At the end of the day, it's going to be the people rising up, pushing back against this extremism, showing it in community after community after community, and then ultimately, when it's time to go to the polls, to send a clear message that America is better than this.
So let me take exactly where your answer goes. Someone listening might say, wow, that sounds good. I hope Hakeem Jeffries is right. But what if he's wrong? What if we're actually past the point where we can just count on free and fair elections? When, as you know, and to be fair, you've spoken out about this, of course, the person in the office, he won lawfully, he won the Electoral College in what we know to be a free and fair election. But previously, when he lost, he tried to subvert that. We had a convicted sedition. He then freed the sedition convicts, as everybody knows. And so there's great concern about not a repeat of 2020, but a more effective version of it. And you've heard this concern. It's not just random sort of activists or the most extreme sort of people worrying about it. James Carville, a longtime sort of centrist Democratic figure, said this about rigging the midterms.
I'd say your concerns are legitimate. I'd never tell anybody that's worried that, no, don't you worry about that. He's going to try to do anything that he can possibly to try to extricate himself for what is almost certain to be a humiliating loss in November of 2026. So people should be worried. They should be vigilant. They should watch this.
Is this a legitimate concern? And if so, what are you doing about it?
We have to be incredibly vigilant to make sure that there are free and fair elections. I think we have to look at what's in front of us. And this year, of course, there are the off-year elections in New Jersey and in Virginia. We've got to make sure the Democratic nominee, Mikey Sherrill, wins in New Jersey. The Democratic nominee, Abigail Spanberger, wins in Virginia. They're both tremendous public servants, have served this country in a variety of different ways, including in the Congress. And then, of course, be prepared as it relates to the midterm elections. Now, the good news is, to the extent that there's a silver lining in our electoral system, is that we don't have a national election system. It's state by state by state. And in many of the states where there will be competitive gubernatorial elections, and certainly in the overwhelming majority of the states where the House will be decided, there are Democratic governors, Democratic attorney generals, and Democratic secretaries of state. I'd be far more concerned, honestly, Ari, if we were looking at a situation where the fate of the House would be determined in states where Republicans are in charge. Because
so
what
you're
we've
saying,
seen,
to be clear, because it's a patchwork, you're saying you've studied this, and if there are Republicans trying to play games, they're not actually overseeing the races that you think would control the House outcome?
That's absolutely correct. There are seats in New York, seats in New Jersey, seats in Michigan, seats in California, seats in Wisconsin, seats in Pennsylvania, seats in Arizona, by way of example, that are going to determine in large measure who controls the House in the aftermath of the midterm election. Every single one of those states have Democratic governors, they're Democratic attorney generals, Democratic secretaries of state. And so that's kind of the landscape that we find ourselves in. And I've got trust in those leaders to make sure that there are actual free and fair elections.